The Prophet, peace be upon him, once described a person. He said, and this is recorded in Sahih Muslim, that this person is dusty, disheveled. When he knocks on doors, people turn him away. When he walks through a crowd, no one notices him. He has no wealth, no status, no name that anyone remembers. But then the Prophet, peace be upon him, said something that should shake every one of us. If this person were to swear an oath by Allah, Allah would fulfill it. This overlooked, forgotten soul has a rank with Allah that kings would beg for. And on the night the Prophet, peace be upon him, was lifted beyond the heavens and shown paradise, he saw that it was filled with people just like this. The majority of paradise belonged to them. So who are they? Why does Allah love them so much? And what do they have that most of us are missing? There was a night unlike any other in the history of creation, a night when the boundaries between this world and the unseen were torn open, when a man was carried from the sacred mosque in Makkah to the farthest mosque in Jerusalem, and then lifted through the heavens, beyond the stars, beyond the angels, to a place no human had ever reached. That man was Muhammad, peace be upon him, and that night was the Isra and Mi'raj. Allah himself speaks of this journey in the Quran. In Surah Al-Isra, verse 1, he says, "Exalted is he who took his servant by night from Al-Masjid Al-Haram to Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, whose surroundings we have blessed, to show him of our signs." To show him of our signs. This was not a dream. This was not a vision given in sleep. According to the majority of scholars, the Prophet, peace be upon him, was taken in body and soul. He was shown realities that no eye had ever seen. He met the prophets who came before him. He ascended through the 7 heavens. He was brought to the Lote tree, the boundary of creation. And he was shown paradise. He looked into it. He saw its gardens. He saw its rivers. He saw its light. But more importantly, he saw its people. And what he saw would carry a message for every believer until the day of judgment. In Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, the Prophet, peace be upon him, told us what he witnessed. He said, "I looked into paradise, and I saw that the majority of its people were the poor." The majority, not a small group, not a humble corner. The majority of those who will inherit eternal bliss, eternal gardens, eternal nearness to Allah, are the poor. This is not poetry. This is not symbolism. This is what the Prophet, peace be upon him, saw with his own blessed eyes on the night when Allah lifted him beyond the heavens. And if we truly understood what this means, it would change how we see ourselves, how we see others, and how we see this entire world. But who are these people? When the Prophet, peace be upon him, said the poor, he was not simply speaking of those without money. He was describing something far deeper. He was describing a condition of the heart, a station with Allah that the world cannot see and does not value. In another authentic hadith, recorded in Sahih Muslim, the Prophet, peace be upon him, gave us a clearer picture. He said, "Many a person with dusty, disheveled hair, wearing worn-out clothes, turned away from doors. If he were to swear an oath by Allah, Allah would fulfill it." Listen to this description carefully. Dusty, disheveled, turned away from doors. This is a person the world rejects. When he approaches, people look away. When he speaks, no one listens. When he dies, no crowds gather. His name fades from memory within a generation. And yet, if this person were to raise his hands and swear by Allah, asking for something, Allah, the Lord of the heavens and the earth, would fulfill it. What rank is this? What nearness to Allah does this forgotten soul possess? The Prophet, peace be upon him, made this even clearer. In Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim he said, "Shall I not inform you about the people of paradise? Every weak person who is considered insignificant. If he were to swear by Allah, Allah would fulfill his oath. And then he said, "Shall I not inform you about the people of the fire? Every harsh, cruel, and arrogantly proud person. Here is the divine scale laid bare before us. On one side, weakness, humility, insignificance in the eyes of people. On the other side, harshness, cruelty, arrogant pride. The first inherits paradise, the second inherits the fire. This is not how the world measures success. The world celebrates the powerful. The world admires those who climb over others. The world rewards those who make themselves seen, heard, and feared. But Allah's scale is entirely different, and those who understood this, those who lived by it, are the ones the Prophet, peace be upon him, saw filling the gardens of eternity on that blessed night. Let us meet some of them. Consider Bilal ibn Rabah. He was born a slave. He had no tribe to protect him, no lineage to honor him, no wealth to elevate him. In the eyes of Quraysh, he was nothing, property to be bought and sold. When he embraced Islam, his master Umayyah ibn Khalaf dragged him into the scorching desert, placed a boulder on his chest, and demanded he renounce his faith. Bilal, with the weight crushing his ribs, with the sun burning his skin, said only one word, Ahad, Ahad. One, one. Allah is one. He had nothing but his faith, and that faith made him one of the foremost in paradise. In Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said to Bilal, "O Bilal, tell me of the most hopeful deed you have done in Islam, for I heard the sound of your footsteps in front of me in paradise." The Prophet, peace be upon him, heard Bilal's footsteps ahead of him in paradise. Not the footsteps of kings, not the footsteps of wealthy merchants, not the footsteps of tribal chiefs, the footsteps of a former slave who had nothing in this world but his wudu and his prayer. And then there was a woman whose name history did not even preserve. She was black. She used to sweep the mosque of the Prophet, peace be upon him. She cleaned the house of Allah while others slept. She removed the dirt and the leaves in silence, expecting nothing from anyone. When she passed away, the companions buried her without informing the Prophet, peace be upon him. Perhaps they thought her death was not significant. Perhaps they did not want to trouble him for someone so ordinary. But when the Prophet, peace be upon him, noticed her absence and asked about her, they told him she had died. He said, as recorded in Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, "Why did you not inform me?" Then he went to her grave, and he prayed the funeral prayer over her. The companions had underestimated her, but the Prophet, peace be upon him, did not, and neither did Allah. And then there were the muhajirin, the emigrants. These were the companions who left everything behind for the sake of Allah. They abandoned their homes in Makkah. They left their wealth, their families, their childhood streets. They walked away from everything they had ever known and arrived in Medina with nothing but their faith. Some of them slept in the Sufa, the covered area of the Prophet's mosque. They had no homes. They had no income. They would go days without food, tying stones to their stomachs to ease the pain of hunger. The people of Medina helped them when they could, but these emigrants remained among the poorest of the poor. The world would have looked at them with pity, perhaps even with disdain. What kind of men leave everything and become beggars? But Allah looked at them with something else entirely. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "The poor of the muhajirun will enter paradise before the rich by half a day, and that half day is 500 years. 500 years, while others are still being held for reckoning, while their wealth is being weighed and questioned. Where did it come from? How was it spent? Was zakah paid? Were the rights of others fulfilled? These poor emigrants will already be in the gardens of eternity. They had nothing to be questioned about. They gave everything away before they even arrived. This does not mean wealth is forbidden. This does not mean the rich cannot enter paradise. The Prophet, peace be upon him, had wealthy companions like Uthman ibn Affan and Abdurrahman ibn Auf, and he praised their generosity. But wealth comes with questions. Wealth comes with trials. Wealth comes with a reckoning that the poor are spared. And so when the prophet, peace be upon him, looked into paradise on that blessed night, he did not see those who had accumulated the most. He saw those who had carried the least. He saw the ones who were light, light in their possessions, light in their attachment to this world, light on the scale of dunya, but heavy on the scale of the hereafter. And this should make every one of us stop and ask ourselves a painful question. What do we truly possess? This is the question that should haunt us after hearing what the prophet, peace be upon him, witnessed on that night. We spend our lives chasing things that will be left behind. We measure ourselves by standards that Allah does not recognize. We seek the approval of people who will one day stand helpless before their own reckoning. And all the while, the ones Allah loves most walk among us unnoticed. In Sahih al-Bukhari, the Prophet, peace be upon him, gave us a warning that should stop us cold. He said, "By Allah, I do not fear poverty for you, but I fear that the world will be spread out for you, as it was spread out for those before you, and you will compete for it as they competed, and it will destroy you as it destroyed them." He did not fear that we would have too little. He feared we would have too much and forget. And in Sahih Muslim we find a hadith Qudsi, words from Allah himself, where he says, "Pride is my cloak and greatness is my garment. Whoever competes with me in either of them, I will throw into the fire." The people of paradise were not those who competed with Allah in greatness. They never sought to be seen. They never demanded recognition. They lived quietly, served sincerely, and returned to their Lord with hearts that were light and humble. So where do we stand? Not on the scale of the world, but on the scale of Allah. Are we among those who chase titles and status, or among those who would be content to be forgotten by everyone except him? The Prophet, peace be upon him, returned from that blessed night with a message. He saw the unseen, he witnessed the end, and he came back to tell us, the world's judgment is an illusion. The only judgment that matters is Allah's. Take a moment in the stillness of your heart and ask Allah to make you among those He loves, even if no one ever knows your name. Ask Him to write you among the people of paradise, among those the Prophet, peace be upon him, saw on that blessed night, the overlooked, the forgotten, the beloved of Allah.